Good afternoon, gentlemen. So in this video, we're actually touching on Canada. I haven't really touched on Canada too much before, although we do use it a lot for clients, right? And essentially when people hear about the word offshore, they think of some small islands in the Caribbean. But what if I told you one of the most effective corporate structuring tools in the world right now is actually in Canada? So in this video, I will walk you through exactly how to set up a British Columbia company and how, when it is structured correctly, it can operate completely tax-free, apart from some small VAT, but again, that's another topic as well. And again, this is how I do help entrepreneurs and investors use this in their global actual structures. So if you're serious about using BC in your structure, again, you can always book a call down below with me via the Zoom. It's completely free. And if you haven't got a member before, it is Will from Forward Point Solutions. We do help entrepreneurs all over the world. You can check out our website as well. But most likely you have gone and seen them before. But essentially, let's just get into it, right? So why British Columbia is number one. Number one, in terms of Canada, it's a tier one, fully compliant FATF approved jurisdiction, which is very, very, very interesting, right? Especially when we can utilize one of these companies to use it completely tax-free. And it's not like America where you need an EIN number as well, you know. And additionally, there's a huge, strong reputation. It's not classed as a tax haven. It's got excellent banking access, so you can be using Stripe, PayPal, Wise, Shopify, EMI, PSP onboarding very easily, right? And again, there's only one corporate direct actually required who can be a non-resident, and the costs are actually pretty modest compared to most tier one peers, right? Such as Switzerland, Singapore, or even the UK in terms of operations costs. Even accounting is cheaper over in BC itself. I used to live in BC, used to live in Whistler and Vancouver myself, so I'm very familiar with the locality over there. And again, additionally of YBC, it is also very credible. When a client sees Canada, Vancouver, it does show that you're credible and you're stable, and it's a good business to actually have. So when we actually compare this versus the British Virgin Islands, Bahamas, Nevis, right, it's completely different video, right? Again, it's not as private, so that's probably a con. The formation process, so what we do, you have to do a name reservation, number one, get to the articles of incorporation, which is then filed over with the BC registry, actually get a registered office in BC, the director appointment, and the corporate records book as well, which is again required under Canadian law. Usually takes 2 to 5 business days, but the entire setup was about 2 weeks for myself, right? And again, the costs are pretty cheap. You're not looking at more than 2,000 Canadian, which is about $1,500, no more than that. And you're looking at about annual maintenance around, $400 to $500. So very simple project. Again, if you did need help with some of these projects, even a Zoom meeting booking, feel free to actually book a meeting down below once again. So the annual compliance and obligations, let's speak about, right? So there's an annual return filing, there's the maintain the actual minute book, which we're going to go into in a little bit of depth shortly, which is basically a director's resolution, shareholder records, no audit unless it's a large company, right? Accounting is advisable even if a non-resident, and again, it works to actually get those great relationships with those banking providers, whether it's traditional or fintech. And again, there are penalties for non-compliance and fines. Again, we do manage all of this for the clients end to end. So that's what happens when you work with us. It's completely from A to B, your life is simple. And obviously we take a fee for that one right there. We ensure the filings are nice and clean, up to date, and there's no penalties. But moving on to the important topic of what you guys have probably clicked on this video for or very interested is how to make one of these companies tax-free. So if the company is a Canadian tax resident in terms of a company based on mind and management, not just the place of incorporation, okay? So if it's a non-resident, there is no Canadian tax there. So what does this mean? It means if all meetings, all directors and all decisions are made offshore. You haven't even entered Canada. You're not a Canadian. You're not a Canadian resident. There is a non-resident company. There's no Canadian corporate tax return even bloody required. That's what's fantastic. So you can structure this in many different ways. Either the direct ownership by a foreign person, but again, it probably creates some personal tax risks as well. Option 2 is for the BC company to be owned by, a holding co out of the Cook Islands, Guernsey, Nevis, Gibraltar, and this ensures it's actually treated as a non-resident, okay, alongside the other things I just mentioned. And the third one is simply just owned by a Cayman or BVI actual holding, much cleaner for banking, and a banking just a simple presentation to them, showing them the overlay, who the UBO really is, and obviously creating it very tax neutral. So proof of non-residency is very essential. That's what we have to keep in mind here. Board minutes are actually shown offshore. Directors residing outside of Canada. No Canadian office. No Canadian staff. Or no Canadian permanent establishment. So additionally, you might not even want your banks to be in Canada too. So having your banks in London could be great here. So this is where most people actually fail. They keep a Canadian accountant or manager. And again, CRA deems residency. So we have to be very clear here. There's a very clear structure of how to do it, and that's what we are helping clients do. Just one of the things we do at 4 Point Solutions, actually. But, let's go into banking and payment solutions. Okay. So you've got Scotia, TD, most common. When you move there, like I used to live there, those are banks I open straight away. High street banks, very typical. Very strong, but they prefer local directors. Again, I'm a non-resident director. And I have banks in Canada, personal and corporate actually. But the practical approach here is to actually open with EMIs, fintechs, Wise, Payoneer, PayPal, Stripe, these types of EMIs that can obviously help process your payments and actually provide you with those banking products. And then essentially expand into the EU banking using the Canadian entity as a tier 1 anchor. So BC companies almost never flagged on compliance lists. It's very smooth for payment processing. It's really ideal for those entrepreneurs, business owners who have SaaS subscription business, e-commerce brands, consulting and advisory services such as myself, and a crypto to fiat business. Crypto is very friendly over in Canada. Don't know if you've been yourself, you'll see Bitcoin ATMs, you'll see this. It's very friendly over there. So essentially, we assist the clients directly with those introductions to banking partners and PSPs that accept BC companies without delays. Okay. So you've kind of seen how it can be using a global expansion kind of package. But things to watch here in terms of mitigating the actual risks, which is very important, is if the management accidentally shifts over to Canada, you must avoid a permanent establishment based on the shareholder residency. Some jurisdictions may still tax dividends based on the shareholder residency as well, and documentation is definitely key. If CRA actually challenges, you must prove the non-residency. So this is why obviously we do not just provide a single corporation, which basically costs next to nothing and it's done in a few working days, right? It's about structuring the actual memos, the legal opinions, trustee setups, X, Y, Z, and this is what actually protects the client from A to B, And this is for a lifetime at the end of the day. So costs are very cheap compared to Singapore, Hong Kong, right? When you add in the accounting, the auditing, X, Y, Z over in Hong Kong, it's a completely different story. So, it is a very interesting setup, and I did hope that you've learned a little bit about how people in you can, as an entrepreneur, use Canada and have a tax-free status. GST over there, which is the equivalent of VAT, is just 5%. Okay, a lot different to the UK. So if you're selling courses, this could be a fantastic thing to actually be doing, right? Fantastic thing. So other than that, guys, I'll leave you to it. Leave you to enjoy this Saturday afternoon, or whenever you're watching this, Sunday, Monday, whatever day it is, right? Enjoy the rest of your day. Best of luck with business, and hopefully look forward to hearing from you soon.